Happy New Year! And in the spirit of this new year, I wanted to talk about how to have a bigger and better chapter in your career. So last year, I talked about New Year's resolution. And if you haven't had a chance to do that, make sure you click somewhere on the links below and watch the video I did on how to make sure that your New Year's resolutions stay with you every week of the year. So today, what I wanted to share with you is just some principles on how to live by, on how to have that bigger and better chapter in your career. How do you start it? How do you get there? And how can you ensure that by the end of the year, you meet your resolutions to have a better and more improved career? 7 steps to take to have a bigger and better chapter in your next career move. Step number 1 is to construct your scaffolding. So if you think about a scaffolding, it's in construction. I don't have any buildings around me that are under construction, but when a building goes under construction, whether it's a new building or it's going under renovations or they're doing some repair work, they put scaffolding around it. You know, it's those bridges that you walk under in the sidewalk and there's a bunch of noise behind it, where they have kind of like fences and then poles along the side of the building, and they have these nettings, this mesh to make sure when construction, if there's any debris that falls, that people underneath that it doesn't fall on their head. So all those poles around the building, that's what scaffolding is. And it's important because construction workers need to set up scaffolding in order to support the building while they're doing work on it. Right? Without the scaffolding, if they were doing any major renovation work or if they were doing any repair work for damage, buildings might collapse or pieces might fall off without the scaffolding. The same thing is true with your career. As you are rebuilding, it doesn't matter if you are going in a new direction or if you want to get to that next level in the same industry or the same company. There is a rebuild that needs to happen because you're moving to that next chapter, because you're advancing, you're growing, right? So you need to have that support around you. Right? So that support is your scaffolding. So ask yourself, what does that support look like? It could be that you need to hire a mentor or to work with a coach to help support you to that next level. Right? If you're growing, chances are you're going to be experiencing things that you've never felt before. So a professional who understands career transitions will be able to point out things for you and ask questions for you that you never thought of. Right? And it could look like also spending more time to think about things, think things through, and to reflect on what's important to you. And if there are new values that you have to uncover within yourself, and time to reflect on what you've done and how you can use those experiences and that new knowledge that you've gained to catapult yourself to the next level. So support is very important. You don't want to start a new chapter or advance to a next chapter without having that support. Because if you don't have that support, just like the building I talked about earlier, you won't be putting your strongest foot forward, right? With that support, you can ensure that when you do experience a challenge along the way, and there will be new challenges every time you start a new chapter or attempt to start a new chapter. Always there will be new challenges. And with that support, it can ensure that you have a stronger start. Step number 2 is to reframe your flaws. Right? And it's so easy to see all of our own flaws. It's so easy to see our weaknesses and say that, oh, that's like a score against us, that's going to be in the way or be a roadblock in the way to getting to the next chapter of our career. But the thing is, we all have flaws. All of us are just imperfect human beings, do the best that we can. We're trying to do the best that we can, because why would we set ourselves up for failure? Why would we do something deliberately to set ourselves up for failure in our career? So it's time to reframe the flaws. See your flaws as opportunities for growth. See your flaws as something that maybe in the right environment and in the right culture and in the right company, your flaws could be something that is complementary to someone else's strengths. And your flaws given the right circumstances and the right situation, you can see your flaws, and it might seem like a flaw to you, but to someone else in the right reframe, it is something that is a valuable asset to the company. Right? So reframe your flaws and look for opportunities to grow each time in your flaws. And when you talk about your flaws, don't frame them as a flaw, frame them as opportunities for growth, and demonstrate ways that you are actively trying to bring more levels of awareness to what you are weak in, and actions that you are currently taking to close the gaps on what you've identified as gaps in knowledge or gaps in abilities or gaps in competencies. Step number 3 is to turn off your autopilot. right? Chances are, up until this point in your career, you might have experienced some successes. Right? You have worked very hard to get to where you are right now, and you're ready to get to the next chapter of your career. So that means at some point, you're used to the routines that you've been having. You're used to the work that you've been having, and you know what to expect already, right? Going to that next level means that you are necessarily doing things that you've never done before to have a result that you've never had before. I mean, that's the definition of moving to the next chapter. It's a chapter you've never experienced, a level up that you've never experienced, but you desire. So it means that there are going to be things that you're not going to be used to. It means that you're going to have things that are unknown, doing things that you've never done, and it's going to put you in a different, outside of your current comfort zone. So you have to turn off that autopilot. The autopilot got you where you are right now, but it's not going to get you to that next level. So it does mean that you're going to challenge yourself a little bit more. There's going to be discomfort. There's going to be fears of maybe the unknown and fears of other things, right? But it's time to realize that the autopilot got you where you're at right now. But if you want to that next level, if you want to level up, you're going to have to approach it from a very different consciousness than the one you've had up until this point, right? But the good thing is that turning off autopilot means that you have this opportunity to step up into a greater version of who you are. And it's not being inauthentic. It just means turning off the autopilot, but it also means being more mindful. And mindfulness is the greatest gift you can give yourself, because it is going to be the personal development journey that you've never had. Step number 4 is to beware of false threats. You might have heard of the fight or flight mode. Right? This is when we perceive a threat happening, and then our heart beats faster. We tense up, our muscles get tense, and this is what happens. It's a physiological response of a threat that might be happening to your survival, and it's a gift. It's actually a gift that our sympathetic nervous system gives us. This is the nervous system's response to a perceived threat. We tense up because we're ready to fight or flight. And this can happen in your career, especially when you are moving to that next chapter of your career, because you're perceiving outcomes that are negative to you, outcomes that might be a threat to your progress. And when you perceive those, your sympathetic nervous system jumps in and you immediately get into fight or flight mode. The problem with that is that it's a perceived threat, it's not a real and imminent danger. It is a threat that you might perceive, even if your mind makes it up, or if you're fearful that it might happen. But the thing is, you got to take a step back and ask yourself, is it true? Is there really that threat going on, or is it just something that I am fearful of? Right? Because most of the times when you are fearful of something, it hasn't happened yet. And so that is what I call anxiety. Right? It's when you are spending all of this energy worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. And so to conquer that, just take a step back and ask yourself, is it true? What does the evidence suggest? Go back to this evidence-based approach and try to prove yourself wrong. Chances are most of the time what you perceive as coming true isn't coming true, and the evidence doesn't support that, right? And the reason why the fight or flight is preventing you from moving to that next level is because in that mode, the fight or flight mode, that is not when you are creative. It's difficult to make important decisions or key decisions when you're in that mode because you're all contracted, you're tense, and you're fearful of survival. So in that mode, it's also very difficult to be creative and innovative. And those are the qualities you need to move to that next chapter of your career. So beware of false threats. Ask yourself, is it true? What else is true? And look for evidence on something that you might be fearing that there's no evidence of that's going to happen. So beware of false threats. Where are you at in your career right now? Are you looking to get to that next chapter this year, right? This is the start of the new year, and are you hoping, and do you have a goal for yourself that in this year you will move to the next chapter of your career? If that is you, I have something special that I've created just for you. It's a training, it's a masterclass that will give you some principles to move to that next level. So check that out, and it is right below, the link is right below. It's careerrevisionist/masterclass, careerrevisionist.com/masterclass. Just click on the link somewhere here below, and I'll see you there. Step number 5 is to pinpoint the opportunities. This is the opposite, kind of like the opposite of determining the threats in your survival or the roadblocks to getting to that next level of your career. Because when you are looking for opportunities, this means that you are in problem-solving mode. Right? You are a problem solver. It's not about identifying all the problems and all the roadblocks that are in the way. Of course, you do have to identify those, but this is the other side of that. of where you are identifying opportunities for you to grow into. And it's okay to set goals, and maybe you have set resolutions for this new year and you've set goals that you want the ultimate annual goal, and you're working backwards on what you need to do every month to get there, which is great, right? But this is also about setting the opportunity, keeping your mind open to opportunities, and sometimes those opportunities may not be in the form that you expect. So you set a goal, and it's great that you are working everything, all of your actions are going towards that goal. But sometimes opportunities come up, and they may not look like they could be opportunities. They may look like they are gearing you off the track that you need to be on. But here's what I'm saying, is that you need to keep an open mind, because sometimes those opportunities could lead there. And if you're not sure, it's always good to get a second opinion. It's always good to work with a coach or a mentor who who has experience walking down a similar path, and they have the success that you want. So get that help, get that mentorship and that guidance from people who have treaded that path, or who have helped other people to do the same. If you like my content, remember to give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I release a new video every single week, so subscribe so that you can receive notifications every time I upload a new video. Okay, so now point number 6 is to revisit your why. Right? You must have heard Simon Sinek's talk on starting with why. Your why is very important. It's your purpose. It's your life's purpose, the purpose that gives your life meaning, that gives the work that you do meaning. After all, this is your life's work. You're getting to the next chapter of your career. You are desiring that. You're setting your annual goals for a reason. What is that reason? And then you get the reason, you state it, and you ask again, what is that reason? And you ask again, what is that reason? Go at least 5 layers deep on this. And because the real reason is sometimes not the reason that you give. The surface reason is not the same as the real reason, the core of the reason why. And it's important to revisit this periodically, because you want to remind yourself about why you're doing this. And your why has to be something bigger than yourself, because your career success, the success that you're aiming for, is not about you. It's not about you. It's something you enjoy. You can enjoy that. You can embrace it. You can take the credit for it. You can receive praise for it. Yes, but it's not about you. If it was just about you, then it wouldn't carry you through. It wouldn't motivate you throughout the year, right? You wouldn't be able to weather the storm. So your reason for doing that has to be a reason that's bigger than yourself. And chances are, if you look hard enough, you'll find it, you'll know. Because your career is not about you. Chances are you're in this career with someone. Someone is with you along this journey. You're supporting someone, or you're being an example someone, or you're leading someone through this. Right? So who is it? Who is along with you in this journey? And what is the meaning of success to you? What is your reason that you are living? The raison d'être in French. What is the reason for being for you? Right? And this is something that you have to reflect on and remind yourself along the way. And that is how you can weather the storm every time. That is how you can be sure that the resolutions you set will be long-lasting, that they will stay through beyond the first month of this year. Right? So revisit that reason and be clear on what that reason is. And that is your meaningful purpose. When you pursue the meaningful purpose, not only does it motivate you through and through, but it also fulfills you. Because when you pursue meaningful purpose, it is the key to lifelong achievement and fulfillment. And finally, step number 7 is to empower yourself. The biggest form of empowerment you have is choice, is your power to choose. So what do I mean by that? I'm not talking about choosing your career path. I'm not talking about choosing where you want to go, where you want to live. I'm talking about a more empowering choice that you have. The choice of how to respond. Right? Along this journey, you're about to be embarking on a path that you've never gone before. You're about to achieve something you've never achieved before. You want to achieve a bigger and better chapter of your career, which is going to affect your life. It's going to affect your family. It's going to affect you. It's going to make you into a better version of who you are. So you will necessarily come across challenges, roadblocks, obstacles, further questions that you have to have answers to, and that creates more problems that you're going to face along the way. But you do have the power to choose how you respond to those challenges. You have the power to choose how you react to those roadblocks. And that is true empowerment. Being able to choose the right reaction to it, a reaction to it that empowers you, a reaction to it that doesn't disempower you, a reaction to it that sets an example for those who see what you're doing, those who are observing you, those who are depending on you, those who count on you and believe in you and that are inspired by you. Right? So your choice on how you respond to everything, especially the challenges, that is the key to true personal empowerment. So with that, I want to wish you a very prosperous new year. Right? Prosperity experienced as enlightening your career, enlightening your life. Being your fullest of who you are and the impact you want to have in this world. So this year, may it be a great year for you. May it be a year that full of experiences you've never had before, right? May it be a year where you put more experiences in your years. And may it be a year that sets the tone for all the years ahead. So happy New Year from the bottom of my heart to you.